Hey guys, today we're going to take this plain white aluminum sublimation metal and we're going to turn it into something like this. Full color, high quality photo print with a custom laser engraved mount on the back. You ready to get started? Let's go. In the future, I'll do another video on setting up the print on the computer, but we are sending the print to our Epson Shore Color F570. This is a 24-inch wide roller printer. It does also do sheet paper, 8.5 by 11 or 13 by 19, 11 by 17. We'll speed up this video to get this to extract. Now back here over at the desk, we go ahead and take our roll paper that was cut out and we're going to, cut the excess trim or the excess paper off to make it more manageable. We only need a small border to get it to attach to the sublimation metal. So I'm just trimming off the excess paper here, and then we'll go ahead and grab that sublimation metal and get started. Just having less paper makes it easier when it goes to print. This is our 11 by 14 sublimation metal. So there is a protective plastic on it. You just gotta get the edge to peel up. Once we get that edge to peel up, it peels back fairly easily. I try not to touch the white metal too much and just try to pull it back all at one time. But at times, it's a little bit hard to remove. It's really stuck. So sometimes you have to touch the metal in order to get it to all remove. And if we do that, we'll just come back and clean it afterwards. This particular brand puts plastic on both sides. It's protected on the back side as well as the front side. I've already taken off the back side, so that's good to go. Once you have that, if you want to clean the front of the metal, it's good to use like once you have the plastic off, the protective, I like to use these lens wipe cleaners. I'm sure there's a better method, but I find that they're not too moist. You're not cleaning or adding too much moisture to the actual metal. This will take off any fingerprints, any dust that might be on there, and it's just a nice easy way. And again, it's very usually like an alcohol base, so it'll dry clean and clear, and you shouldn't have any issues or marks. It's always good to check the metal too. The metal does have some imperfections in it. It's not much that you'll be able to do about that, but if you see something serious that you don't like, then obviously you can use a different piece. Once you have that ready, I just drop it down. I make all my prints approximately 1/2 inch bigger, and I'll show you that later on the computer, but I make them all about 1/2 inch bigger. I use a Affinity Designer software, and I utilize a set of 3 guidelines for my prints. I use a green inner mark, which is considered my safe line. Then I use a red, which is the cut line of the actual metal. And then I use a blue, which is my outer bleed line. So when you're creating your imagery, you want your image to bleed out so that you know it'll cover the edge of your metal or whatever you're printing on. And in the heat, sometimes with the metal does create a little bit of expansion and contraction. So if it expands, you want to make sure you have enough of an edge all the way around. Once you have it set up and you know your square and your edges look good, then I go ahead and tape this down using heat resistant tape for the heat press. Standard heat resistant tape. I'll get that and we'll tape this up. I like to use one of these. You get them on Temu, Amazon, wherever you want to purchase. I could always leave a link in a link below if you have interest in buying one. What I like about this is it turns and it pre-cuts. So someone like myself with a disability, it's difficult for me to rip tape on a regular basis from a regular tape dispenser. So I like the way this works. It just works for me. Obviously, you have to find what works for you, but this is pretty good. You could run all your tapes at the same time, so you can have like 4 in a row come across, or 3. I like to just run the one. Just makes it easier, again, for me to do this. So I just go about 50% on the metal and 50% on the paper. And I use my nail to try to press it down so that this way there's zero movement in the metal. And then we'll just turn this sideways. You may not need as much tape as I'm putting on, but I like to make sure that the print's not going to move. And you never know when you're going to put it on your press. You know, do you have a slight movement? You don't want any kind of ghosting when you do this, right? So ensuring that your print paper is adhered tightly to your metal, that'll avoid any potential other issues that you can have. So I think that's good. And again, this is the way it looks. Edges are nice and square. The print is good. That's the other side, the white. And then we'll sandwich this into the heat press. I usually do, for this size metal, 380 degrees to 400 degrees for approximately 65 to 85 seconds. So I'm going to go ahead and set this up on the press, and we'll press it and take a look at what it looks like afterwards. All right, guys, the heat press is hooked up to or set at 390 degrees. I use this drawer here as kind of like a staging area for my press. We have some protected coating on the bottom, and I use like a butcher paper. I put the paper facing up, so the metal, the raw side of the metal is down and the paper is up. So when the heat press goes down, it's going to be directly on the paper, pressing and heating that paper into the metal at the 390 degrees. And then I do add a protective sheet on top as well. As long as you're comfortable with your heat press, you may or may not need this. It's up to you. So once I have it set, grab the handle and lock it in. This is 390 degrees for 85 seconds is what we're going to run it at. And Once it's done, it'll be extremely hot, so we'll pull it out and bring it over to the counter to cool, and then we'll take off the paper backing. All right, we're about 7 seconds left here, so we're gonna go ahead and pop this open. Nice and easy. And then I use my drawer again this is extremely hot. This is very hot. I'm gonna pick up the whole thing and carry it over to the table. All right, now that we're back over at our table, this is still warm. Just took it out, brought it over here. You can see the reason why you want to utilize the butcher paper, because you're always going to have a little bit of transfer that gets onto your paper. If you're not utilizing it, what'll end up happening is this transfer will get onto your heat press, and then when you go to do another print, you have the chance of this ink transferring again to a new print, and that can ruin a perfectly good print for you. So use a butcher paper, use protective coating, something to protect your actual print. This is still very hot, but while it's hot, I'm going to go ahead and just start to peel back some of the tape. It is extremely hot. It takes usually about 2 to 5 minutes to cool down, but if I can prep this to peel off the tape while it's cooling, then we'll be able to release this from the paper. I just use a little tool to just get up under there and peel that tape back. If you let it cool 100%, it'd be a lot easier. But I guess I'm a little impatient when it comes to certain things like this. So I'll go ahead and burn the fingertips. Still very warm. Again, you're probably looking at 2 to 5 minutes to have this totally cool down before you can touch it without burning your hands. You could use heat gloves of some sort if you like gloves. Due to my disability, gloves are not my friend. It makes it very difficult for me to utilize my fingers. So you have to find what works for you within reason, without burning yourself. All right, so we are close to having all the tape off. And again, if you wait until it's totally cold, you could probably just rip it off and not have to deal with this. It's still very warm. So at this point though, it has cooled down a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and pull this paper off. And I don't know if you can see this on the camera or not, but even with the print side, there's a little bit of ink that actually came through the printed paper and got on the butcher paper here. So again, butcher paper is fairly cheap. I get it on a roll. I just pull it off, cut what I need, and then pull it out. So here, we're gonna go ahead. Wow, I don't know if you guys are ready for this. I'm gonna go ahead and show this to you. Look at that, absolutely gorgeous. It's an awesome print. You can see really good transfer of color. Obviously, when you print your sublimation ink on paper, it's always a little bit duller, but you can see the edges here, right? We had more color. When you heat this, it presses in here and you get that transfer of all the color. And if if you don't know anything about sublimation, it's a chemical process that has essentially baked or transferred all the colors into here. So you're not going to really scratch this, or I mean, within reason, right? It's going to be very durable. This particular metal is good for, I think, up to 5 years outside in like direct sunlight. So it has like a UV resistance on it, and that's it. So now what we'll do is we're going to go ahead and we'll cut the corners, because you have an option when you're purchasing these to have a 90-degree corner, or you could do a rounded, 1/8 inch rounded. So we could cut those afterwards. And I prefer to do that because then you're always making sure that you have a great finished look. And then we'll go ahead and we'll throw a backing on for this particular customer who wanted this print. It's a simple backing. We offer a couple different solutions, and there's all kinds of backings you can put on metal prints. You could frame it. It's 11 by 14, so you can obviously throw it in a frame. But the very high-end gloss look for this, you really don't, there's no need to put it in a frame and put a piece of glass on top of it. You take away from this. These work great when they're mounted on the wall and are offset, 1/2 inch or 1 inch off the wall, and kind of gives like that shadow effect. So we'll go ahead and cut it up, and we'll get the back on, and then we'll be able to package this up and get it out to the customer. All right, so we have our finished product here, which is our print that we did last night. I'm actually continuing this today. It was around 1 o'clock when I got done last night. So this is the reveal of that print. Again, looks awesome. The one thing, the colors are great. I mean, this is really nice. I really like this print. Just due to all the coloration that's in here. It's nice, it's bright, it's vibrant. One thing we want to do is cut these corners. I want to round them out for the client. So this particular customer didn't want the hard 90-degree edge. So we're going to utilize this tool. This is something I picked up, I think it was on Amazon. Again, I could look for a link and put it in the bottom for everybody to see. It does have a couple different settings for different types of cuts. The cuts are actually labeled as like an M cut. This is an L, this is an S, that's an M as well. So this looks like a 45 degree, right? And then these are just all rounded. And essentially what you do is you have different cutters or bits in there that you would go and you kind of line this up once you have your piece in there, tighten everything down, and then you got yourself a cutter that's easy to repeat. So it's fairly simple. I'll try to show you this way. I like to do these where the print is facing upwards. This way, when you're putting the downward pressure on it, it's gonna cut downwards. You're not gonna have any kind of like flare out from the back. That could cause, a sharp edge. And really, it's just a matter of pushing down and pulling out. And you can see right there, that's a very nice, smooth, rounded edge, which is a lot better than, or different, than the square. So same thing, just put this in here, line it up, make sure it's at a good 45, and chop it down. And then just rinse and repeat. These are guides that really help no matter what size the print is. I've done these as little as 4 by 6 and as big as 24 by 36. So really, as long as you line that corner up, you push down, it's going to give you a nice clean cut every single time. I like these small, I call them 1/8 corners or roundovers. I like these because it doesn't take away a lot from the image. You're not cutting into too much material, but it does smooth it out. It makes it a little less sharp or aggressive. The other thing is this is aluminum, right? So that 90-degree edge you nick a wall, you nick a door, wherever you're hanging it, it'll nick it, and it'll be something that's visible. So rounding these out is really nice. At one point, I was only going to offer the rounded edge only, but I have some customers who like that hard, sharp 45 degrees, or if you're putting 2 or 4 of these items together, you may want the sharp edge so that you almost can hide the seam in a way, or maybe in a frame where you want the 90-degree angle in there as well. So that's that. We're going to now get a piece of protection to go on top, and then we'll put the backing on. All right, guys. So what I use, let me get this out of the way for a moment, is what I use to protect the layer, at least the initial layer, right, during my packaging, is I use a roll of, or a sheet of glassine paper roll, right? So you can, again, I'll link this down below. You can buy this glassine paper roll. I'll throw a picture and a link in the down below, but you can buy this on Amazon or a bunch of different places, and really what it's going to do is it's almost like a wax paper. I'm sure you can use a wax paper as well. It's just when you're producing a high quality print, you want to get this out to a customer. I think it's best to wrap it and prepare it as nicely as possible so that customer gets a an item or a print that is in perfect condition. Is the way it left the shop is the way it'll actually get to them. So I'll set this aside for the moment, right, and just roll out a sheet of the glassine here, and totally, it's up to you and the size that you have on which way you want to roll this out. I just want enough to be able to cover it. You can also put it this way, but once it's down here, I know that the print side is going to be protected, right? So I don't mind shifting it around a little bit to figure out which way I want to do it, and then really just go ahead and cut your roll here. It'd be easier for me to go on the other side. Still haven't worked out my exact workspace here to allow me with my chair to be able to access everything. So unfortunately, it's just a little bit more back and forth, while I'm preparing things. So I think I'm going to go with it this way, right? Again, before I totally wrap it, but that's what I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap it like this all the way over and tape it down. And then I'm going to wrap it again in some bubble wrap, and this will be ready to go. But I think this is a very important step that everybody should take if you're making these, in your shop, or you're trying to go into doing them. The other thing I want to do is put the backing or the hanger on here based off of what this particular client wanted. So I'll show you that shortly. But we're going to go ahead and wipe this down and clean this up real quick. So actually I can show you that step now while I'm here. So we have our final print. You want to get yourself a good clean rag. I like these microfiber rags. Again, Amazon, dollar store, whatever. They don't have to be super expensive. And this is a glass cleaner. It's designed for, it's ammonia free, designed for sublimation metal. It's designed for metal prints, right? You don't have to buy something that is sublimation only print, because they're going to label it and they're going to charge you more money because they know you're doing sublimation, right? So you find something that's ammonia free, you find something that is good. Again, I'll link this in the comments and section below, but this is a great spray that you could spray on your final picture before you go and wrap it. I do use the handle spray here, because unfortunately I have no ability to press down on the nozzle. So this will allow me to, probably need to shake it a little bit, but this will allow me to put the spray on, and then we just use our microfiber cloth and wipe it down. This is going to take any of your fingerprints off. This will take any of your dirt, dust, particles off, and this is leaving essentially a picture perfect, no pun intended, image. So no dust, no fingerprints, and now you want to avoid at all costs trying to touch your print. If for whatever reason, doing the backing, doing something else, you touch your print, of course, go ahead and just spray on a little bit of cleaner and re-clean it. What I typically do at this point is I have my glassine, I will go ahead and drop it back down, and now I'll go ahead and tape it up, okay? Again, this particular customer does want a backing on here, so I'm gonna go and grab that backing and prep it here so that we can put that on, and then we're gonna wrap everything up, and we'll be ready to ship this out and package it. Hey guys, back in the shop here, trying to wrap up the print that we did last night, and worked on a little bit earlier today. The video's kind of been broken up a little bit, just as I've been managing a few other things. So we want to put the backing on the image that we printed and transferred. So one of the kits that you can buy, and again, on Amazon or overseas, there's a variety of different places. But one of the kits that you can buy comes like this. It's an offset hanger that uses the 3M VHB tape that goes on the back of the aluminum print. And once this is on, this is secure. This is going to hold a good amount of weight, so you can use this on almost any size up to, I'd say, 24 by 36. Usually when they start going that big, I'll put 2 of them on, depending on, you know, if it's portrait or landscape, to hold. And then they give you these little foam rubber squares, essentially. Generally you put 1 in each corner, and the offset is the same height or width as the metal and the punch out here. So essentially what happens is you put this on the back, you put your 4 corners on, and then when you hang it on the wall, it'll sit perfectly flush. So that's what we're gonna do now. We're gonna go ahead and put that on. I make these up special, branded for my prints, depending on what site I've sold them on. So this one here, you can see I printed up with the Dark Metal Designs website address and our little logo. And I'll take you over to laser in a moment, and I'll show you how to do this. I make every effort to brand everything that I send out from my shop. In this case, we are just branding or engraving the mounting bracket that's going to go on the back of the sublimation metal artwork print. In this case, this was sold under our Dark Metal Designs website, and I wanted to make sure that we have the website location on there as well as our logo. We're using a Galvo UV laser. This happens to be a 60-watt laser, and it's going through the initial engraving steps. This is essentially a rough engrave on this part here, and it goes through and it engraves within the metal. And then we're going to go into the next step when this logo finishes, and it'll do more of a polishing type of engrave. So what's nice about the galvos and the UV lasers is you can adjust the power output to to your metal or acrylic, whatever it is that you're engraving. And it may be a little bit difficult to see here, but it's literally going over uh, the darkmetaldesigns.com name or URL, and then it'll go through the logo of the called the devil heart. And the polishing that it's doing, which is just a very light powered laser, is actually going to turn the metal a little bit on the bluish side. So when you look at it up close, it'll be polished, it'll look very smooth, and it'll actually have a color within it. So it does, this adds a couple extra minutes to doing the design work here. However, I think when you ship this to a customer, or if they bought it as a gift for someone, they end up getting your product with a website on it and a logo, and it just looks highly professional, and also makes it easy if someone ever wants to make another order. They say, where did we get that from? You have your website on there. You could even engrave things like QR codes. So I'll try to get a close-up of this in a moment to show you. All right, so this is the close-up. Camera's a little shaky at the moment. Just give me a moment, right? But you can see, if you're looking at the domain name, see that blue reflection there? That's the polishing that takes place. Very, very nice. So once again, that's our sublimation print. And this here is the final product. So of course you want to make sure that it's situated the right way, this being the top. So we're going to face that downwards. And this is a fairly small print. This is 11 by 14. It's actually one of the best sellers on the Dark Metal Designs site, due to the fact that it's something that's fairly easy for people to print their own photos. And that's kind of what the site was designed and started with, was you submit your own photo, your own imagery, we print it on the metal and then ship it to you directly. So really the only thing you want to do is position this in the center and position it, from the top. I usually go about 3 inches down from the top, depending on the size, right? If you have a much larger print, you can, go a little bit closer to the top. In this case, I'm going to go probably approximately about 3 inches. And I just want to find the center of this. So I'm working on doing a jig that will help in the future. So maybe in one of the future videos that we show or I show, I'll be able to create the jig and show you this. So this is 11 inches, right? Your 5.5 is going to be your center, okay? So I'll mark that, and then obviously, mark the same thing. This is 3 and call it 1/4 inches. So we're looking at about 1.5, a little over 1.5, 1.625 really. So I'll go ahead and mark that in the center as well there, right? Just double check your measurements and so forth. And then really, there's, you really either want to take it from the top. Let's say we're going to put it approximately 2 inches. So I'll go ahead and put a mark, 2 inches here. And on something this small, again, I'm not super concerned with it being, off a hair. It's really not going to matter all that much, because you have a very large, hook here. You have multiple teeth, and this isn't that heavy, so they're going to be able to position it accordingly, right? So now I have my marks here of kind of where I want to put my my bracket, and then I'm just going to have to line up the, position it this way, line up the dots here, right? Obviously, once I have a jig, it'll be much easier to line everything up. You can always take some measurements this way and make sure that, everything's centered. This looks really, really good. And now it's just a matter of peeling off the tape, right? Most people, you probably could just get in there and peel off a section. With me, due to my hand dexterity, it's difficult for me to get it started. So I'll use just a little prick tool to get it. And then what I like to do is try to eye this up for you guys. What I like to do is I like to stand it up right here on my lines, right? So I made 2 inches from the top. I made 2 hashtags or 2 lines, and I really get it to sit almost right on top of those 2 lines where I could barely see it. And then I have my dot here that I made for the center, and I'm lining that up with the dot of the bracket here. So once I kind of have all that set up, okay, I just let it nice and easily fall over without moving it, okay? And just do final adjustments if needed, and then push it down. And once you push it down a little bit, it's pretty much gonna adhere. Again, I'll spend a little bit more time pushing because of my what we'll call it my issue at this point. But I don't have a lot of downward strength to be able to push down here, right? So I'll just go ahead and get that in. At that point, now we're back to the squares, and I'm looking for, I like to clean, to just make sure we have a really clean surface here. So again, I take one of my eyeglass wipes and just use the alcohol from here. These are not saturated by any stretch of the means. So I'll go ahead and take this, and I'm gonna clean my corners. I just wanna make sure there's no grease, there's no dirt or oil there, right? From fingerprints, from touching it and flipping it and so forth. So as long as you know you're cleaning your corners, you could touch these other areas. We can go back and clean these fingerprints up later. But the goal here is to make sure there's no oil from your fingers, there's no dirt or grease in any of these sections. And you can clearly, I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but this dries up very quickly and you have no residual moisture or anything. So peel these off. I usually go in about 1/2 to 3/4 of an inch from each corner, okay, and just drop it down. And this you can pretty much eyeball. There's no reason to to be crazy with the measurement. They're not doing anything other than just keeping it off the wall, so it sits off the wall. And most people want to see that shadow, so you don't want to go too close to the edge. Going super close to the edge will take away that shadow effect when it's hanging on the wall. And the last one here, I'm gonna put over here. Okay. All right. So these are good. This is trash. And then what they do give you when you purchase these, right, is they're going to give you a screw. They're going to give you a wall anchor for somebody to hang it, whether or not that person wants to use a screw in the wall anchor. Also, I believe like these bags are just way too big to send out. I feel like if I were to get this in my package, I'd be like, something's missing from my, from my package. So what I'll do is I'll throw this into, I have a couple small little baggies. I'll throw this into a small baggie, and then this way that customer, when they receive it, they know that really this is all they're getting. Screw, of course, will go into the wall with your wall anchor, and then you're gonna hang your image like that. Last step, if you have any alcohol left, I'll clean up my my pencil marks here. And I may have to wet this. It's kind of dried out a little bit already, but I'll just clean up my pencil marks so that they're not, you know, they're not visible. And when the customer gets it, they can look at this and realize that everything is good. So there we go. This is a finished product. And we have our mounts on the back. Nice and easy. Beautiful image on the front. Easy enough to hang on the wall. Will sit flat. Have that shadow effect. So now it'll pop off the wall. And now at this point, I'll do one last cleaning of the front and the back, even though we really haven't touched the front at all, but I'll give it another spray down and a wipe. And then I'm gonna go ahead and wipe all the fingerprints off the back, wrap it up, package it, and ship it to our customer. So that about wraps up this video. If you guys have any questions, throw them in the comments. If you have any negative things, you can throw them in the comments. I won't read them. Anyway, hope to see you guys next time. Do follow and like this video. It will help me. I'm just starting my channel, and it'll be beneficial for me. If you guys want to see more, you have a print that you want me to do. If I showcase your print on the YouTube channel, I'll give you the print for free. So send me what you want, and we could talk about trying to get something on the video for you, as well as getting you a free print. Thanks, guys.